when Mr. Kanu, with due respect, started building his idea, right from the time that he started outside with the radio station, with what they are, we feel, I don't want to succumb to the idea that they say in Igbo land there is no king. There are leaders. They should have come together. What they did of that prescription, they should have come together to a round table and really tame, if I may use Kanu, who is in our age bracket. Because people that are 70, 80, they say they have seen the war, they've seen the civil war, and everything. We keep on, the media, even your own media yesterday, played the record of Ojukwu making Z, you know, saying we shouldn't go to war. We shouldn't even, drumming a war of war, drum of war. So all these elders are there. They should have allowed these people, my age mate and my junior brother that are chanting all this that they don't know, they are very ignorant. They should have called them together. It wouldn't have reached to this stage. That is one. The Nigerian state too, there are so many processes they could have put in place. Just like somebody remains skeptic, you take the issue of the Boko Haram, the kind of engagement, sometimes the use of arm, not applying the right thing in the right place, gave back to, you remember the killing of Muhammad Yusuf, their leader, which made them to become vulnerable. So the same is IPOB, in as much as they are not carrying arm. But if care is not taken, they may resort to. So you see, there are a stitch in time steps, and there are steps that one has to be taken that I believe right 1 year, 2 years back, we could have taken this step and we could have nipped it in the bud.
So now that that wasn't done, that definitely wasn't done, and we saw eventually that things escalated. Nnamdi Kanu was picked up, who was being prosecuted by Nigerian authorities. We also saw how there was a lot of, debate as to whether or not agitation for his release, as it were, and it was only recently that he was released, on very stiff bail conditions. And we also saw eventually how things proceeded from there. How do you think the Nigerian state could have managed better, some of the fallouts of the feelings of marginalization, especially from many people or many citizens of the Southeast?
You see, there are so many questions that you ask now, or rather, that question has so many answers, 1,001. But to start with, how do we tame the outcome of the situation now? Number one, you see, initially, Kanu felt what he is doing is right, and he received nod from the so-called elders. You can remember, even in his bail condition, I think our Deputy Senate President was there. He even partook in processing because people felt that Kanu shouldn't have been treated the way he had been treated. But after doing that, they themselves realized what Kanu did. You see, Senate President was in that meeting of the proscription of the group. They have taken the right step. It's not yet, better late than never. They have now taken steps to tame it. Now, the military, thank God we had them this morning. Like you said, is this defense staff or chief of defense staff?
No, we had the chief of army staff.
Chief of army staff have said that they were they just make a mere proclamation, not a declaration, but a proclamation. Probably they're just trying to fly the kite or try to...
That's what they said. But
whatever.
Depends on how you look at it. Because some people said what they did was a declaration.
The issue now is damage control. How do we manage the situation? Like we say, it has escalated. It's about getting out of hand, but not completely. So whatever step, sometimes you make a statement. I would regard the statement by the military as trying to manage, a kind of a damage that has already been done. But you see, two wrongs do not make a right. Everybody knows about that. What we are saying now, the leaders have now waken up. They have raised up to their responsibility. That meeting for the proscription is again another step that they deserve to be torn up. Then the process now that is being taken, the meeting, the consultation, and I think we are now getting it. But this kind of fire brigade approach at the 11th hour, I really don't like it. We have all the time. Now, when we come to all this pillar of marginalization, you see, if you are talking, I don't want to be sentimental anyway, but when you take the history, The Yoruba as a race, they feel they have been marginalized too. How many states was the Southwest? When the whole South is South together, they have only 2 states. How many senators now? How many states now? And yet, those people that started from 2 states are now saying they are 5. They are now 5 states. They still feel they should be equated in the geopolitical reason. Somebody I regarded that one to be his own view, but I have to quote him for the purpose of clarity. The whole of the Southeast, it's not up to Oyo State. The issue is, if they can feel that they are marginalized, the Yoruba too as a nation has to feel that they have been marginalized. Again, when you take, you take the marginalization in terms of leadership, if the Igbo as a group, they will say they were denied being on the corridors of power. Right from 1960, independent today, a Hausa man has never ruled this country. Yaradua, Buhari, they are all Fulanis. So can they also say they are marginalized? You see, when we are talking, and I want really our listeners to really tune into this, marginalization is a relative term. It's a relative term. So depending on what you are saying, marginalization. But like I say, this country will have done better. There is nothing wrong with our laws but implementation. Once we can actually give due and absolute regard to the processes we laid down upon ourselves by our founding fathers, today this country can thrive. And I still insist, the level of government, when I say level, I mean the local government, if we can really have a kind of this devolution of power, it has passed the National Assembly, and I keep on emphasizing, the state should not pick it up. The citizens should now bet on the state, because if the state overrides, despite the fact that it didn't sell in the National Assembly, devolution of power, but local government autonomy, both financially and administrative, has passed. If they can consolidate that gain, and then we have the devolution of power from the central to state, I think this country will find its proper place. If FIRS, from January to June, will generate about 800 billion. There are so many ways you can do to pay taxes. So this restructuring should be, first we restructure our mind, then we restructure our thinking regarding the laws of this, and then there are certain things.
I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts for us. Yes. When we come back, we will talk more about, what precisely we should be restructuring, because from what your party has found out in its moves right now to try and gather some consensus, they seem to be talking about fiscal federalism. In just a moment, please stay with us.